Strong looks different for each of us, and it's time to put focus on our unique journeys that get us there. This space, created weekly, is for athletes to improve their mindset in order to better navigate challenges that come up in sport and in different seasons of life. On this show, we ask the questions that lead to better answers and have the conversations that truly matter. This is the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Hey, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Excited to have you here, especially because I feel like we are on an awesome flow with the episodes as of recently. Last week was all about just taking a mid-year of where we're at, a reflection, and really getting you back to focusing on the things that matter. Today is about addressing that feeling of, I don't feel ready. And that is the reason why so many of us stop dead on our tracks and don't take action. So I'm very excited to talk about that. But first, let's go ahead and talk about the Becoming Your Strong moment of the week. And I have to shout out a moment again that I went through this past weekend because it was something. So this month, I should say, this month we have another Ruck Race League challenge. And the challenge is 2 hours on the clock. And your goal is to gain as much elevation as possible within those 2 hours. You're only allowed to go up to 800 meters before you have to turn back around and go down, but you don't have to use all 800 meters. You can do 50 meters, you can do 100 meters. It's up to you. You get to choose the surface, whether it's upstairs, whether it's up a trail, a hill, whatever that is. And so Dave and I were tasked with that this weekend. We were like, let's go get an attempt knocked out. Well, we had something planned out, more like Dave mapped something out. And we're in the car literally getting ready to drive to this area. And Dave is like, oh, I had an idea. I know where I want to go next. I want to go here. And I was like, wait, I've been there. And there's some pretty steep hills there. Like, should we just go there since we both know it? And we pulled an audible and we decided to do that instead of the thing that had already had recon done on it. Well, long story short, we get there, we hike about 1.5 miles in, and we realize that this is not the right area. That if we had gone to our original location, that we would have done a lot more elevation gain than we would have here. And so neither of us are feeling motivated now to do it here. And we're realizing, okay, we already were a little late getting to the game because we decided to make a last minute decision to go somewhere else. And we had to hike in. And now it's basically 20 minutes to the time where we thought we were going to be done with this. So we were going to have the rest of our Saturday to get other things done. And Dave did not get a good night of sleep the night before. And so we're on the hike back and I hold his hand and I said, look, if you don't want to do it after this, I totally understand. Just let me know where you're feeling. And we get back to the car and he's like, I'm just tired. I'm over it. I don't want to do it. And I'm put between a rock and a hard spot. I'm thinking, okay, I really don't have a lot of other times to attempt this because my priority is what's going on August 2nd, which I'm flying out to Underdog to do another big Deco weekend and put down another elite qualifying time for the strong. And this challenge is not one for the faint-hearted. It is one that is going to take a lot out of your legs. It is just going to be a fatiguing total body exercise session. And so I'm like, I don't really care to throw this in multiple times. While it might be great for like tank volume and like building up leg endurance, it's one that's going to not allow me to do other sessions during the week. So long story short, I was put between, again, the rock and a hard spot, just thinking, what am I going to do? I'm starting to feel tired. I have to basically figure out a new place to go because I'm not feeling motivated to go to the original place that we thought we were going to go to. And so get back to the house, game plan, and Dave agrees to go sit at a coffee shop near where I want to go while I get done. And then the last 30 minutes, he would like come and cheer me on. And so I was like, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm just going to go. I'm going to do it. And so we drive back out there. He drops me off. I figure out my spot. I get started. He goes to a coffee shop to get some work done. And then the last 30 minutes, he comes and he meets me. And I am just like really insanely proud of just that alone, of just taking the first step, because there are so many things that were counting against me that day. The fact that I was now going to be out in the 80 to 90 degree heat because there was no more cloud coverage like there was in the morning. I was tired. I was already kind of sick and tired of just like thinking about this specific challenge and spending all morning to do it and never being able to actually do it. It definitely sucks when you plan to do it with someone and then that someone doesn't do it with you. And not that I'm upset at all that he decided not to, trust me, because I didn't really care to do it either. But when you're expecting to have someone else to go through the pain with, it kind of makes the brunt of it all like not as bad. So there was just a lot of things. I also had other stuff to get done. And I just like was really proud that I just decided to do it. And I told myself I will feel so proud of myself if I go and get it done and I just put a score up. It might not be the best score because mentally I'm not in the place that I'd hoped to have been, especially because I feel like this is a challenge that I could potentially even win if I played my cards right. I'm just proud of the fact that I even did it. And the first 15 minutes, you're like, holy cow, I cannot believe I have an hour and 45 minutes left. And then you make it to the hour mark and you're like, holy cow, I cannot believe I still have a whole hour left. Then you make it to the last 30 minutes and you were just like, I am so sick and tired of climbing up this same hill that I've been climbing up for the last 90 minutes. I just am over it and I'm done. And I completed it all the way through and through. And did I get the score that I wanted? Not necessarily, but did I give the effort and did I climb through the mental battles that I wanted to climb through? Absolutely. And I think that that is the bigger thing to take away. And so I just wanted to shout out that for people that might have a similar situation is when you go to attempt something, whether it be like a race, right? A really important race weekend. Let's just leave that as an example. You're expecting everything to go perfectly. You're expecting to wake up, that you're going to want to eat your food, that you're going to be able to get there on time, have a lot of warm-up time, you're going to go off and race on time, and everything's just going to go right. And 99.9% of the time, that does not happen. Everything is up in a tizzy, and so you have to be able to adapt. And I feel like this is just another situation where I had the chance and the opportunity to adapt. And so life, you guys, is rarely ever going to serve you lemons in the form of the ones that you're hoping for, but it's going to serve you the freaking lemons that you need. And so if you take it and you make some freaking lemonade out of it, you might find that you were hoping for this, but what you're getting out of this is so much better and so much tastier. So just really proud of that moment and wanted to share for those that might resonate with. And that leads perfectly into the topic for this week, which is this idea of you're never going to feel ready to attempt what you are going to attempt, to take the leap of faith, to do the big thing. And so how do we overcome that and step into our power and get ourselves on the destined path that we are more than capable of achieving and walking? And what really inspired this topic this week is the fact that last week I made a pretty big girl decision and move. I decided to buy a car. And I should say I've bought a car before. But this was like very close to a brand new, very nice, big investment type of car and situation to where it was scary. And for the last 5 years of my career, it has been going from making six figures to going down to zero. When over COVID, I decided to leave my job and pursue uncertainty of trying to build a business that I was really passionate about, to switching into more like in-person personal training. And now I do some hybrid where I do in-person and I do online. And personal trainers don't always make the most money, right? Like it's always kind of cyclical, just like sales, where some months are great and other months people are traveling and they have life circumstances that come up. It's just never one where you can feel totally confident and comfortable with where you're at, like just financially and mentally. And I was sitting here. I was not sitting here. I was sitting inside of the car dealership. Just got done test driving this car. And I just feel in my gut that like, this is my car. Like this is it. But I'm getting so like overwhelmed with emotion of like, this is a really big investment. And if I do this, like I'm putting myself into a big loan situation where I'm officially back into debt. And I haven't been in debt in several years because I've done such a great job of paying all of it off. And it's just a big thing to bite off. And I was just like, you know what though? Like I deserve this and I'm never going to ever feel ready to do this. And if I wait for the moment where I feel ready, then it's just never going to happen for me. And so I need to do this and know that I'm going to have my own back, that I'm going to figure it out. And if for some reason it doesn't work out, then I know that I have people that love me that are going to help me figure it out, right? And so I really can't lose. I'm only going to lose if I continue to count myself out of the game rather than play it. So that's what I decided to do. And I just felt so empowered after that decision. It's still like sinking into me that I own a beautiful 2020 RAV4, like literally my dream car in the dream color. It is so sexy. I can't even, you guys, if you haven't seen it, just go check out my social media. I posted it on Monday in my weekly report. And it's wonderful. I'm so thrilled that I made the decision to do it and go through with it, because I also know on the other side of this that like right now, while it feels uncomfortable and I bit off a lot, I also know that this is going to make me an even better person. It's going to help me adult even more. And these are all things that I've been wanting to learn and have been afraid to learn, but now I'm actually getting served the opportunity to do that. So all of that to say, I wanted to do an episode on just, again, this feeling of you're never going to be totally ready, which is just something that we all feel. And I wanted to provide some steps to take in order to encourage all of us to just take the leap of faith rather than waiting on the sidelines of our life for the perfect moment to come. Because guys, there's never going to be the perfect moment ever. So let's stop doing that. So 3 very simple steps for you guys that I implemented not only in this car buying process, but even after the fact with, just continuing to review where I'm at in my life and just certain things that I want to improve on. Like these are 3 steps that I would recommend for anyone that's getting ready to make either a major life change, do something big, whatever that looks like. The first step is to redefine your measure of success. And this is a reoccurring thought. This is not something that's new. I've probably said it on the last 2 or 3 podcasts alone, but I keep saying it because clearly it's important. And what is successful deemed by us today might not be success as deemed by us tomorrow. And so we constantly have to keep that in the front of our mind, not just to make sure that we know what that is, but to hold ourselves accountable to it as well too. Because our mind, it's a funny little thing, isn't it? We will say that we feel this way, but our mind is telling us something totally different. And so by continuing to review this, and not just review it, but redefine it in ways that are going to serve us, is just a safeguard to making sure that we're staying aligned to what really matters, right? So this is an opportunity to ultimately reduce unnecessary pressure by eliminating expectations that just don't serve us, right? We all have expectations. A lot of them are bogus. A lot of them are unrealistic, and they just continue to provide us pressure that is just not needed. There's good pressure and there's bad pressure. The good pressure is the privilege stuff where it's going to teach you a lesson. The bad stuff is, again, the stuff that's not serving us, that's making us feel like we are not enough and we will never be enough, right? So you have to be able to delineate the difference between the two. But I'm talking about the bad pressure, the we are not enough, we'll never be ready, this I'm not worth this, right? We have to eliminate those things, right? And it starts by eliminating those expectations that just don't serve us. And it just gives us a chance, again, to make sure we're focusing on what really matters. So take out a piece of paper, think about the things that you were trying to attack in your life, the goals that you're trying to achieve, and think about what your measure of success is for that specific thing, especially in this current season of life. It might look different from last season. It might look different even in the season to come. But for this season of life, with where you're at and the circumstances that are being dealt to you, what is that measure of success? And what I encourage you is that it's not just an outcome. In fact, I would stay away from outcomes. I would think about things like who it's going to force you to become. And force is not really the word. It's just who is it going to help you become? Those are the things that I would think of. And I know that doesn't sound very tangible, but those are the things that I think really do matter versus if we hit a very specific outcome, right? So that is step number 1, is redefine your measure of success. Step number 2 is to eliminate the stress. And I started talking about this last week, but on the happiness podcast I was listening to, this man was talking about the fact that happiness is our default setting. It is not something that we need to go out and chase. It is our default setting. And if we remove all the gunk that's blocking it, then once we do, it's going to allow for us to go back to that default setting, which is happy. And so we don't need to add anything externally to our life in order to be happy. It's already within us. And so we need to be very intentional about eliminating the stress that is not allowing for us to be at that default setting. And so I did that this morning, actually, as I took out my journal and I had a really good session with myself where I made a list of everything that was stressing me out. And I did things from finances to career to just general personal stuff to relationships. So think about different capacities of your life that are currently impacting you. Write down everything that's stressing you out within those different categories, and then draw a line down the middle of the paper. And on the opposite side of that, it's almost like there's an arrow going over to it of, okay, here's the stressor. How do I eliminate it? What is the action step that I need to take in order to eliminate it, right? And I wrote down one for every single one of those. And I was able to look at the list, and while it was long and overwhelming, I actually felt like I was cracking the code on, again, just stepping into my joy, finding my happiness again. And it felt really good. And now I was looking at that as, okay, we have to take the action. Like, that's the only thing that's keeping me from going back to that default setting is taking the action. And so I started taking the action right then and there. I was like, if I can stay intentional to just knocking off one of these things a day, within a matter of a month, all these things are going to get knocked off. And there's going to be additional action items that will come from these initial steps. But I'm going to be so much further along by just taking one small step every single day than not taking any action at all. And especially not by even becoming aware of the things that are stressing me out. So that's what I would do as step number 2. And this is where the very important step number 3 comes in. And that is to implement the 5-second rule. You are going to look at some of these things on this actions to take list, and they are going to scare the living shit out of you. I had a couple of those that were puke worthy, and I was just like, I just need to do them. And what I also did this morning is, in addition to my journaling, is I started reading the book, The Let Them Theory. And this is a book from Mel Robbins. And if you've not read any of Mel Robbins' books, or if you've not listened to her podcast, seen her speak, you need to go and search up this woman now, and you need to pick up something of hers or start listening to something of hers, because this woman is fantastic as far as her story goes and how she's turned around her life in a matter of 10 years from 41 to 50 years of age, right? So, but taking that aside, her introduction was all about talking about the 5-second rule. And it's this idea that we are overthinkers. Our brain is always trying to search for certainty. And in doing so, we overthink and we basically take ourselves out of the game before we even have a chance to actually experience what is destined for us. And so by doing this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go countdown, you just take the action. You give that kind of distraction for the distraction. You don't give yourself a chance to think about the what ifs or create the stories. You just say, nope, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take a step. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take a step. And by doing that, you start taking small action. And when you do that over time, it becomes consistent. And when it becomes consistent, you start to notice really big changes in your life. Really big changes do not come from really big actions. They come from small, consistent actions. That's all it takes. So we don't need to do everything today. We don't need to tackle the entire list or do the scariest thing on the list for that matter. We just need to take one simple step. And I felt so good after doing that. There was actually one of the steps that I took. And after that, I was like, ugh. And Dave looks at me and he's like, what is going on? I was like, I'm sorry, I just puked in my mouth a little bit. He goes, well, did it taste good? And I'm like, I'm hoping it tastes better later. And it's just like, it's going to make you feel like that. But then you get some of the results back and you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. I can totally do this, right? And this is where I ultimately want to leave you for today, is this quote that really impacted me. A man asked a gardener why his plants grew so beautifully. He responded, I just don't force them to grow. I only eliminate what stops them. Guys, you are the only thing standing in your way between where you want to be and where you are now. Focus on eliminating the things that are keeping you from growing, and before you know it, I promise you'll be shining. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. I hope this episode was truly helpful. If it was, please be sure to send this to people that need to hear it and rate and review the podcast if you've not already. I will see you guys for another week. Well, I guess I'll talk to you guys in another week from now. We'll see what happens over a big weekend. It's Deca Mile weekend at Pursuit. I'm so excited and blessed to see all these people putting themselves at the start line, chasing after their fears and showing themselves that they can. So I'm sure I'll have some really good stories for you guys. But until then, enjoy your week. Go take some massive action with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. And I will talk to you guys next week. See you later.